Hey there! I'm Roscoe the raccoon, and this is the Campfire series by North Dakota State Parks. Come explore with me!
Hey everyone, my name is Austin here at Fort Abraham Lincoln State Park, and today on the Campfire series we're going to be taking a look at winter counts of the various indigenous tribes here in North Dakota and across the Great Plains. So what exactly is a winter count? Well, a winter count is a pictographic history or record of important events in a community. Winter counts were typically made traditionally on animal hides such as a buffalo or even deer or elk. When we look at traditional winter counts that have survived into the modern day, a lot of the different dyes that were used to create a lot of the pictures and symbols on winter counts came from berries, different plants, blood, clay, charcoal, and even more. Winter counts were always created by a specific person within an indigenous community who was generally known as the winter count keeper. That individual had the knowledge necessary to both safely create the winter count and be able to accurately retell the events being depicted on it. So a record on a winter count would be a series of symbols or pictures that would form the overall story. Later, as indigenous communities began to transition into what was collectively known as the reservation era, winter count keepers had to resort to using more modern materials in order to create winter counts. So they would use ledger paper or sometimes muslin fabric. When you're looking at a winter count, you're really looking back into history. At the end of every year or winter, a group of elders would always come together and try to figure out what was the most single important event that happened in that year for the entire community. Once they came to a consensus on what that event was, then the winter count keeper had permission to go ahead and depict that event. An event could be just one symbol, or it can be a series of symbols that you can see on here. Each event then acts as a year. In some cases, however, pictographs were not meant to depict one single event, but were there to remind winter count keepers of other equally important events in that year. So let's look at some examples. The first one we have here is a winter count done by a Nakota Yanktonai by the name of Lone Dog. In this pictograph, he is depicting the first time white soldiers made their appearance in the region around 1823 or 24. This event also coincides with what is known today as the Arikara War, where the Lakota participated in the war with the U.S. Army. Another example is a winter count done by Foolish Woman of the Mandan tribe. This event depicts when the shooting stars fell, 4 women were born, and Lance and his party of Sioux were killed around 1835. Lastly, we have a winter count done by a Lakota man by the name of High Dog. This event, depicted at 1847, depicts High Dog's Lakota camp at a place they named Blanket Creek after acquiring blankets from white traders. So why are winter counts important? Well, for many indigenous families and groups, winter counts actually tell their tribal, or in some cases, family history. They serve as a tangible link to their past, and they're a valuable tool for researchers here in the modern day. Historians, anthropologists, archaeologists all use these winter counts to better understand the history of indigenous peoples prior to and post-European contact. I hope you learned something valuable about winter counts and how important they really are to both historians and indigenous communities. If you want to learn more, you can come out to Fort Abraham Lincoln State Park and ask any of our interpretive staff, or you can also visit museums and cultural centers in some of North Dakota's indigenous communities like MHA, Standing Rock, and others. Also, if you want to try and make your own winter count, you can do so at home or in school by just taking out a piece of paper and using some existing winter count symbols or making some of your own.
Wasn't that fun? I can't wait for our next adventure. Until then, you know where to find me.